Hi everybody, thanks for tuning back into Crypto Mainly. My name's Lee. Just going to jump straight into the content today and keep this brief, just to go over the bullet points of the week, basically. I know this is a nice fresh week. Monday's always a little bit slow, tends to be a little bit red on a Monday. Just looking at the chart here, this is the one that we've been sort of focusing our attention on. We are still inside this blue triangle, as I suggest we probably would be, with some spike lows, spike lowers below that lower resistance line there. So the resistance line, the lower one is the red measure here, which is 29,247. So let's say 29,250 for round numbers. This is on the Bitfinex. So you'll see that this is on the Bitfinex chart, and as we all know, that's where most of the whales hang out. So it's a good low to go by there. However, if we look at the Binance chart, the actual low from the Binance chart is slightly different. It's 28,800, I believe. Yeah, so it's the purple line there. In fact, so 28,805, which is the the peak low from the summer of last year. So that's the absolute low that we're keeping our eye on. So it's slightly different as per the exchanges, but as you can see on the Bitfinex chart, it's actually not closed below that low of the summer low there of 29,250 yet. I do think that we will see some spikes lower. As I said, I suggested you can see just I've made it a little bit faded now, but the purple arrow is where I think we'll see the price action. So I think that we will see sideways action bouncing around within this triangle, and possibly some spike lows perhaps towards the end of the month. And I think we're going to be in this range for, as I said previously, probably a week or more. We'll bounce around in here, I think. So just have a look at the let's have a look at the next chart here. So this is this is an RSI chart. So this is daily. So on the time frames at the top there, this is daily. I'll go over this quickly. You mentioned the green circles at the top were where we had the RSI above the red dotted line there. And obviously that's when you tend to see these, the big rejections in price, and most recently this one here. So there was a warning sign there. And on the flip side now, the blue circles at the bottom on RSI are whenever the RSI comes down to the purple dotted line there, which as you can see is 35.33 is the measure there. We were bouncing along it and finding support for a while, and I did think that actually we were going to hold support and possibly see the bounce here, but of course now obviously once we'd sort of broken down, the support, the RSI support did bounce along for a little while, but sadly, what with the lunar situation and the big Bitcoin sell off and things, we lost that support, and we got this big cascading price both in Bitcoin and the Ethereum and the altcoins. Basically, just like one of those unforeseen circumstances, and as sad as it is, I know a lot of people lost a lot of money in that incident, and it's very sad for the space, as well as for the people involved, people that have lost money, but also for the Lunar Foundation and then for Do Kwon himself. I mean, it must be dreadful to be in that situation where you've got such a successful project, for it to then be the victim of a coordinated attack like that. From the huge market manipulators, which we all know lurk in the space of the traditional markets, and unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, the crypto space is only a very small fish in a big pond. When you talk about the size of the actual traditional markets, where you've got real estate in the hundreds of trillions, the crypto space is very, very small compared to that. And when you get big titans like that coming into our space, to make their moves, then you get these big unforeseeable events, which are very sad, unfortunately. But it's something we've got to deal with. Without the volatility, you wouldn't get the opportunity. And as the crypto space does grow and becomes more of a I don't know what you would call it, not a valid asset, because obviously it's a very valid asset class as it is now today. But I think as it grows and becomes a larger fish in the pond, then we will see less volatility. The prices will be harder to move, so you'll get less volatility. And unfortunately, whether we like it or not, with less volatility will come less opportunity. let's enjoy it while it lasts, as it were. So we're in. This is the Wyckoff chart that we've been looking at for a while. We did get this big spring, this big spring wick. But as I said, I do think that we'll probably see something similar to here, where you've got the Wyckoff here, where you get the first wick low, and then you get some series of spike lows. This fractal, as you know, was the fractal from the peak here. And obviously, you know, that's where this fractal here comes from. So the very peak there, it's basically a bars pattern. This purple, light purple fractal is a bars pattern from the peak here to come down, and then obviously, you know, and then to get this spring and the bounce. Looking at this now, the size of this wick, I wouldn't be surprised, because you've got low wicks here, you know, that we'll bounce along, and I think we'll see, you know, that the price is trying to come back down. I actually don't think that we're going to see much, you know. Sorry, let's go back to this chart. So the very low, this first wick low here, is the blue price there. So 20, just under 26. So 26,600, shall we say, for round numbers, is the blue price there. So 26,600. That's the wick low. We may get a spike just below that slightly, but I don't think we're going to get, you know, much of a close below that particular wick. I think we'll look back and this will be the low, if not very close to it. Pretty much the same as here, where it was actually the low, or pretty much close to it. You know, we did get obviously some closes lower, but as I say, it was the, or pretty much close to the low of that range. And I wouldn't be surprised if we were in this triangle for a while. We do see some spikes down. We stay in this range for the next couple of weeks while the sort of the confidence grows back in the market, and then we get the breakout, and then obviously we'll have to see what happens with the price when it comes up against the top of this resistance again, which incidentally is at 33,000 at the moment. So you know, we will have to see if we do break out this small triangle and we get to the top here into this range of 33,000. That's going to be somewhere where we'll have to just reevaluate, see whether we get some rejections back down lower, or whether we do get the, you know, the moves higher. But I do think any opportunities that come below, well, this is so the dotted line there is 26,600. I mean, if you get any opportunities below sort of between 27 and 30,000, I mean, I think those are just opportunities, and they'll be quick prices, quick wicks down, and quick recoveries, in my opinion. So, you know, it's something which I'm looking for personally. The price opened today, and it was you know, prices start to come back down again. But actually, when you look at the CME, that's not surprising that happened, really, because when you get there is actually a CME gap above us, up to 36,000. But if you look on a smaller time frame, there was actually a gap which needed to be filled. If I just show you that, just bear with me for a second. So you did have this gap here, so we needed to fill this gap, and of course, now that the market's open today, you know, we've got that gap fill, and now hopefully we can get some bounces, and we can see actually the price starts to bounce higher, is what I think will happen. Although on the face of things, it does look like we're going to see some lower moves. Yeah, as I say, I'm not sure that that's going to happen. I think we've just filled that gap now, and then we'll you know, we'll start to make some positive moves. Okay, so I mean, just going back to this one, when we're talking about these blue triangles, where you get them, you know, anywhere between the 25 and 35% move. So any time that the price, you know, the RSI rather, has bounced along 35% or come below it, you can see that it translates to basically between the 25 and 35% bullish move in price action. There's no reason why this could be any different. I do think that that the RSI are at the lows. This was obviously, you know, an unusual market dynamic which caused this collapse in price. So it's interesting to see that the 35% move from where we are. As you can see, just point this out, guys, that you'll see these green arrows here are two blue, where two blue circles are, but these are huge moves. Look, this is a 70% move, and the same from this arrow here. Look, 70%. So you know, there's nothing to say that, you know, in theory we could get a 70% move, which we then get a correction and then get another 70% move, and we're back up at the range highs. That is a possibility. It's less likely, granted, but it's, you know, it's certainly something which is looking at the, you know, the past history. It's something which is possible. But even if we go by the smaller measures of 25 to 35%, it's interesting to see that from the wick low here, if we measure 35%, that takes us back up to just around the 65,000. Sorry, just around. I wish it did. Just around the 36,000 mark, which of course would close the CME gap, and then we'd probably get the rolling over from there. But that's quite an interesting point there. Let's have a look at dominance. You know, we've said this before. This is the worst thing that we could have seen is the dominance sort of breaking higher like this. It is also sort of starting to look almost like it's starting to form some kind of pennant there on a daily time frame. Not so clear on the lower one, but you can see you've got you've got like a triangular formation going, which would suggest that there's going to be a bullish breakout from this. Actually, when you look on the smaller time frames, it's not as clear. Although that does look like that's like a rising triangle pattern there. So yeah, it looks like, you know, flat top and rising lows. Does look like this is going to break bullish, which again, I mean, that suggests that altcoins are not going to do very well against Bitcoin. So, you know, you might want to consider moving your alt positions into Bitcoin, because this is looking like we're going to be getting a Bitcoin season, where all of the money flows out of the altcoins and things back into Bitcoin, and then we get the dominance coming back up to the sort of 50-60% mark, unfortunately, which is going to be not very good for the altcoins at all. As I said before, I mean, stretching out the hopium, if what we would like to see is if this does, you know, if it manages to reject, bear in mind that from the high to the low here, this is the golden pocket at 61.8 to 65%. So, you know, there is a chance that we could get a strong rejection from there. It does look like it's trying to erode its way through that resistance, but if we do get a strong rejection and the price comes down, you know, what we ideally would like to see is for these supports to break and for the dominance to continue downwards. That doesn't look like that's going to happen based on what we can see here. It looks like we're going to come down, maybe retest, so we might get some nice alt action as the dominance comes back down to retest. But then once it starts to take off again, that's time really if we start to see bounces from here is when you really want to put your alt positions back into Bitcoin, and perhaps hold the Bitcoin. The USDT, this one's actually looking quite promising in that we were hoping and suggesting that if the price breaks above that resistance, is that once the market settles down after the lunar situation, is that we see prices come back down, and sure enough, you know, the tether dominance has come back down. It has broken through support, now coming back up to retest. Let's hope that that's a bearish retest and that we see a rollover and continuation lower. As we've said before, that's what we want to see happen. If we see that happen on tether dominance, it will mean if we get the rejection here, and we get the prices start to come down, bounce along, break down, bounce along, break down. If we do get, you know, that entire move, then that's going to be fantastic for the market in general, not just for Bitcoin, but for altcoins and Ethereum, and everything basically. So we don't want to see this breaking back above and carrying on higher. We want to see it rejecting and coming down. That would be rather nice, and hopefully that will affect the dominance, bring the dominance down. The Bitcoin dominance down, and we do want to see it break down below there, really. But you know that that's very, it's very much less likely that it breaks down and comes back down there. Although, you know, you could argue that the market dynamic has been that unusual that once it calms down, that it could be, you know, another unusual thing that we do get the breakdown of support and price, you know, and the dominance does continue lower, and we do break into a summer alt season, which is what we're all hoping for and looking forward to. But okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully, that's given you some clarity on what I think is on the cards for the immediate short term. And take care. Have a good week, and look forward to speaking to you again in the next video. Take care now. Always remember, guys, take profit and buy something real.